whenever you have a desire and you want to fulfill it, there is one thing you gotta keep in mind. You wish for something that is not to be. Okay? And so that is not really a very controversial thought. That's kind of obvious, right? Desire relates to the something that is not and you want it to be. Okay? Right. So here's the thing about desires. Whenever you desire something, you have certain image of in your head of how this thing really is. What this thing tastes like. What does it feel like to be a different person, to do something? And this projection, this guess, is never the actual thing. Okay? You're associating a mental image with the real object. You're associating an image of a tree with the actual tree. And so our minds are fairly powerful. I am not underestimating the power of our magnificent brains because holy shit, we are fucking awesome, honestly. Like, what the fuck? If you really think about it, our imagination is almost limitless. Like, for real. We are so good at projecting things. But still, they are not the reality. Okay? So, whenever you want something, you gotta know that what you want does not exist and will never exist because it's an image in your head. And so, how can you possibly want that? How can you possibly want something that exists in your head and in your head only? So, what you want already exists. It is an image in your head. But what do you want? You want the reality to be as the image in the head. And it is not possible. It is not possible because the image in your head is an image in your head. And the reality is reality. What is the distinction? Just like image of a tree from a real tree. Okay? And you may argue that it is possible to try to carve the reality as close to the image as much as it is possible. So let's say let's say you're a painter, alright? And you get the image of a tree, okay? And you're really, really good at visualization and you're a very talented painter that can paint very realistic paintings. And let's say that you can paint the tree so close to what your image in your head really tells what the tree should look like that it is almost undistinguishable. Okay? If someone will be able to take a look at the image in your head, which no one can, and take a look at what you painted, it's like, holy shit, it's like almost identical, alright? So to some extent, it is possible to fulfill your desire. If your desire is as easy as to very realistically paint the tree, then it is easy. You spend like 20 years trying to learn how to paint. You have to have a very visual mind. You gotta be basically pretty talented about the whole endeavor, and then you can actually do it. But what about being someone? What about even carving your body in a certain way? Your genetics predetermines. I'm not sure if it's a real word, but I think you understand. I hope you understand how certain features of your body look like. So, for example, I have very big thighs, and I will have to fucking die with that. I'll always have a big thighs. Even when I was very thin, my thighs are very big. It was always a problem when my mom was buying trousers, because I was always breaking and there were always holes where my thighs are. So, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. And about you seeing yourself getting to a certain point, right? You want to achieve something, you want to get a degree. What does it feel like to sit in your office with a PhD after your name? It's not necessarily how will it feel like after you actually get there. Because there is a distinction between image in your head and the reality. So whenever you want something, it is like you want what is out there to be like something that is in your mind, alright? And I'm not saying that there is something wrong with that. Sure, like, play whatever game you want to play. I don't have a problem with that. Just be aware that those two things does not necessarily have to be the same. Because it is kind of like living on Earth and living on Mars, alright? As much as you would try to replicate conditions on Mars as they are on Earth, you have to accept that they might not be identical, and it might not feel the same, and might not be the same, because there are simply two different worlds. Your world of imagination and the world where you actually live in, they are two different worlds. So, yeah, that's what I had to say about desires.